If you're celebrating a special occasion or just love fine dining, you're in the right place. Come experience the crown jewel of South Point restaurants, Michael's Gourmet Room.
Welcome.
With over 600 different types of wines and magnificent dishes prepared tableside, you'll revel in the rich classic Vegas decor and the best black tie service in the world. This intimate gourmet room has earned accolades galore. Come to Michael's Gourmet Room for an unforgettable dining experience. Another famous restaurant is the Silverado Steakhouse, where you'll find the charm and service that discerning patrons require. From top quality steaks and chops to fresh seafood and desserts, you'll love the award-winning wine list and menu at Silverado Steakhouse. Steak lovers have even more options with primarily prime rib. Catering to hearty appetites, the menu features a variety of flavorful prime rib cuts, dry aged to ensure tenderness, and then seasoned and slowly roasted. Although prime rib is our specialty, it's not the only thing on the menu. There's something for everyone. And if you're craving a taste of Italy, come experience delicious Italian cuisine and the attentive service at Don Vito's. Our culinary team starts with the freshest ingredients and transforms them into traditional favorites. And don't forget Italian desserts. Don Vito's. Savor the taste of Italy. Finally, if sushi is more your style, join us at the popular Zenshin Asian restaurant and sushi bar, where we're serving up the freshest sashimi, nigiri, and sushi rolls. And beyond the sushi, an exciting contemporary Asian cuisine menu, plus a variety of specialty drinks, Japanese and domestic beer, wine, and sake. Balance your hunger with Zenshin.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome in. It is Sports by the Book here on a Tuesday morning. It's final week of February already. I'm Jeff Parles. She's Alex White. He's Kenny White. We're all here. We're all tight. We're all ready to go. Good morning, y'all. How we doing?
Good morning.
Yeah, doing well. So, yesterday was a quiet day in the sports calendar. Monday usually is this time of the year. NHL usually goes with these stack cards on Tuesday, which we'll break down. College hoops is really just a few good Big 12 games. Last night it was one high-end Big 12 game, and we'll tell you about it right now, actually, as we will dive into a big day in college hoops in a little bit. A huge matchup in Los Angeles that we'll get to. Don't worry. Luka plays his former team. And, of course, if you look at the bottom right now, you see right now the women's top 25 rolling along the bottom of the screen. There's going to be a trivia question down there in a little bit. And JR at the ballpark is undefeated so far since we've started doing this. So let's see if we can get a different. Let's see if someone can beat JR. That might be the name of the contest at this point. beat JR at trivia, which will be at the bottom line. Pay attention. It is one that I saw the question already today. I think you should be able to get this if you like your baseball. Let's just go with that on today's trivia question. All right.
And he's very good at baseball, so you better be quick.
100%. And it's recent baseball as well. So I guess we can count for within the last 5 years recent baseball still, to say the very least. It's also someone's birthday in that answer, so we'll tell you that as well right now. All right, to yesterday. Let's start in Lubbock, guys. And the Houston Cougars, there was a question of you move from the American Athletic to the Big 12. The Big 12 looked at as consistently the best league in America. Not this year, but still probably the second or third best league in the country. You move from the AAC up to the Big 12. And what has Kelvin Sampson done? He's only won back-to-back regular season championships now. Houston could technically end up in a share with Arizona still. Arizona would have to win out. Houston would have to lose out. Houston, this upcoming weekend, Alex, is going to be double digits, probably closer to 15 against Cincinnati. So we'll read the tea leaves there. But Alex, yet again, Houston covers all numbers, 69-61, your final last night against Texas Tech.
Really good Cougars team, right? And last year we saw them number one defense in the country, but kind of struggled offensively and didn't have the depth. And I think this is a much better team going into March Madness. And then, of course, Arizona is playing better, but they have a tough schedule coming up. They still have to go play Iowa State this weekend and then finish the regular season with Kansas. So I think it's pretty
you can lock it up.
safe to say that Houston has locked it up.
And Kenny, it's funny with Houston this year, and you just brought it up, Alex, where they're actually third in defense. Number one in defense was that Texas Tech team, Tennessee is number one in defense, and Ken Palm, I should say. But it almost feels like Houston's kind of slid under the radar this whole year, which is totally bizarre to say about a team that could very easily end up with a number one seed if Alabama trips up a few times with their ridiculously tough end game schedule here at the end of the regular season.
Well, this is a top four basketball team, so they should get a number one seed. Kelvin Sampson's done a tremendous job there recruiting, bringing in guys that play defense, and they've bought into the system, and that's a key to having a great program, and that's what they have there at Houston right now. They're always the difficulty with them in the tournament was scoring.
Yep.
They couldn't score. They get to the later games against better teams that could score, but now Houston could score. They've got an offensive team. They shoot the three as well as anybody in the country. So they're going to be dangerous. They're one of the teams that, should be a favorite to win it all.
That you mentioned the biggest difference. This is the top 5 3-point shooting team in the country. That is not what Houston did early on. They're still great offensive rebounding wise. They have lost one game in regulation this year, and that was to Auburn. Nothing wrong with that. Their other 3 losses, Bama in overtime, San Diego State in overtime, which might be the reason San Diego State makes the field of 68 when it's all said and done, and then they lost to Texas Tech, so there was some revenge last night. That first game in Houston, that 82-81 game that Texas Tech upset Houston in that one. Also yesterday, Michigan and Nebraska, if we were playing Seth Davis rules, there wouldn't even have been a winner because no one even made it to 50 last night. 49-46 is your final. And I just want to bring this up with Michigan, which is one of the bigger oddities that we've seen this year. And I'm curious both of your thoughts on how you read into this. Since January 12th, when they beat Washington 91-75, they were 13-3 after that game. Since then they're 8-3. All 8 of their wins have come by 4 points or less, which is a huge oddity. And I'm just wondering, how do we read into that? Is it that they're just good at close games? Or are they just not as good as their record shows? I'm curious to see, again, both teams under 30% last night, Alex, in that grinder last night with a 49-46 win for Michigan in that one.
And if you check the box score, it is pretty ugly. Both of them really struggled to shoot the ball in that grinder. But that is very interesting. I didn't really notice that until now about how close they have been winning these games, Michigan.
Well, the important part is winning. And that's the big key, that they know how to win close games, and they know how to win at an up-tempo game. They know how to win in a slowdown game. And I think the reason for the close games is there's so many good teams in the Big Ten. So every game is a big game, and they probably should have lost maybe 1 or 2 of those games if there's a luck factor in all sports, and it's all done by points scored, points allowed, and how many games you should have won. And obviously people are going to say, well, Michigan should be 19-8 instead of 21-6 because they played all those close games. But to me, that's a team that knows how to win. At the end of a basketball game, you can trust them. And they're not a great free throw shooting team, but they're decent enough, and they got a couple guys that don't miss free throws. So if those are the guys that have the ball in their hands late in the game, they're going to win.
Michigan moved back into a tie with Michigan State. Both 13-3. There'll be one more chance at each other. Of course, Sparty went on the road and really put it on Michigan in Ann Arbor on Friday night. The return trip to East Lansing is the final Sunday of the regular season for Michigan State, who has made their way into the top 8 in the AP poll. Just a quick reminder, polls don't make Polls don't make prices. Put it on a T-shirt, as Vinny would say. And also, too, the seeding, just keep in mind, there are some seedings here that will not match up with the AP poll. A lot of bracketologies right now of Michigan State and St. John's is 2 and 3 as 3 seeds right now, even though I think Michigan State, if they win Big Ten regular season and post, they will easily be a 2 seed when this is all said and done. All right, guys, let's head into tonight, and we'll pivot back to college hoops in a second, but we have to start in the NBA, which is somewhere we usually don't start on this show, but we'll start there tonight. A nice little card, but everyone's attention is on Los Angeles tonight because the Dallas Mavericks will head to LA at the Crypto.com Arena to take on the Los Angeles Lakers and Luka Doncic in his revenge of revenge spots. This is not quite. If it was in Dallas, it'd even have an even more grander feel than this one already has. But just to throw some prop numbers at you guys right now, and we'll start with the points real quick on Luka Doncic. 31.5 is his point total right now for the props. DraftKings, slight juice to the under actually on this one, Alex.
Well, because we have just seen Luka go over that just once so far since being on the Lakers. And you talked about them going to Dallas, and that's kind of a game that I have circled. April 9th, the Lakers will be playing in Dallas, maybe. AD will be back in that one as well. So I think that would be one that I would look to really capitalize and try and bet on some of Luka's props. But you were saying you think that you would be looking at the over for Luka tonight, Dad.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. He's the first MVP to be traded, or I don't know if he was MVP. I know that superstar player at 25 years old to be traded ever in the game. There's never been a player this good traded from a team, and then they came out, well, everybody wanted to know why. They said he's out of shape. He doesn't have a work ethic, and they just threw him under the bus. And an athlete, this guy can play at that high of a level, and maybe that was true. It doesn't matter if it was true or not. Luka's going to get payback for that. I don't care where they play in Alaska. This guy's scoring 45 tonight. He's going to go off. And the biggest key why he's going to do this is because the other star player right next to him is LeBron James, one of the most unselfish superstars to ever play the game. And he will help Luka do everything he possibly can to get 50 tonight if he can get it. And LeBron will sit back and score 10 if it makes Luka happy, because LeBron's that kind of guy. He just wants to win. And you mentioned the point total that Luka had finally gotten that, a big game in his last game. He hasn't played a lot of minutes. 23 minutes. Then he hit the 30-minute mark, and he played 33 minutes the third game. So he's going to play 33 to 35 minutes tonight. He's going to get his points.
PRA, which is points plus rebounds plus assists tonight. DraftKings has it at 48.5 right now. Luka Doncic to record a triple-double is plus 280. LeBron, by the way, if you're interested, 5-1 to record a triple-double as well. From a perspective of pre-flop bets, as we know, if it's a regular traditional bet, Ryan gets to come on the desk and smack me in the head. But I kind of lean the way of Kenny here on Luka related things. I would probably be looking to attack that PRA as opposed to attacking the points.
Yeah.
Just in case if you can get a 30 ball and still end up going under. Would not shock me if this is just one of those nights. The triple-double I wish was a little bit better of a price, but it would not shock me if this is like a 30-10-11 game here for Luka tonight in a total bleep you game to the Dallas Maverick organization here.
Yeah, I like the triple-double. I like the PRA over, because just looking at his last 2 games, he had 11 rebounds against Charlotte and 10 against Denver, and his assists are up there. He's a great passer. So he's getting more comfortable with his team as well. This is now the 5th game that he's played with his new team. So the comfort level, but I really feel like the team, Dallas is going to play hard. They're going to come to play because they know what's in front of them. I just think Luka's just too good. And I think the Lakers rally around him, and it's going to be the crowd's going to be into this, and it's going to be fun to watch. I think Luka gets his revenge, and I think he goes over these numbers pretty easily, because he's going to be very motivated. That's the biggest thing about sports is motivation.
It does make me feel better that, of course, the last game that he did go over that points prop at 32 was against a very good Denver Nuggets team.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that a few days off now. It's Tuesday. That game was Saturday. But yeah, I can definitely see it.
All right, let's pivot over to college hoops. Dean Hilt in the chat saying great day yesterday. He cashed with Houston. Every number got home on Houston last night. If you got in early, you had a little less of a sweat in that one because it did get a little bit sweaty at the end when Texas Tech got it down to 3. All right, let's start.
That was a nice home revenge there yesterday for Houston.
Road team won both of those matchups
Yes.
this year with Texas Tech and Houston. Would have loved to see that in the Big 12 final in Kansas City, which could very easily happen. All right, let's start in Richmond, Virginia for this one as the basketballs fall on top of it, but we're too strong. We're getting out of those here today. So we start with this one, and on paper, this is a huge mismatch between VCU and Richmond. But this is a big rivalry game in the A-10. Both of these teams, of course, within the city limits there in Richmond. The first matchup between these teams was, for lack of a better word, an embarrassment for the Spiders. It was 90-49. VCU scored 90 points in a game that had 59 possessions, which is unheard of. Now the return trip, VCU just had a dominant second half against the previous leader of the conference, George Mason. They were losing at halftime. They end up winning by 16, 70-54. I just think this is a classic letdown spot. Now, the question is 15.5 still enough, even in a letdown spot, to take with Richmond? I think it is, even though, again, you look at the way that these teams are. Yeah, I get it. The number's fair. All the way up to this high of a number. It was 14.5 last night. They bet VCU, but you get embarrassed like Richmond did the first go-around. A letdown spot for VCU. At home, play this game within 15. I'm not even asking to be close in the game. You can cover a 15.5 point spread at home by accident, so I'll take it with Richmond here.
I think that number is about right here. I got there with Richmond last week against LaSalle and then kind of followed their following game. Did not cover in that one. So that kind of scares me off. But there is always that embarrassment factor. And losing 90-49 is definitely, we'll have them ready. On the flip side, too, VCU could definitely take them lightly tonight, thinking we've already beat them. So they could maybe hang around.
I always want to try to make a case for the dog in these rivalry games all of the time. And I do bet them most of the time, but there's no way I can bet this one because I don't. This is the biggest game on the calendar circled for both teams. They're such big rivals. They hate each other. And anytime you hate each other, you're going to come to play no matter if VCU just beat Auburn, Duke, and the Houston 3 team, and they just won all 3 in a row, or they beat them on one night. Tonight, they would still play their A game against Richmond. They could name the score in this game. So I'm going to pass. I don't want to lay it, but I made it 19. You can't give any home court for Richmond. There will be more VCU fans in the stands right now than the Spiders have. So if I wanted to give home court for VCU, and the crowd's going to be in VCU's favor the entire night, they're going to get the fouls called their way. So I don't want to lay it, but there's no way I could bet Richmond.
Right now, 15.5 on this one. Again, low total, too, for a 15.5 point line game, 132. But this game's played as slowly as that last one. It probably is going to go under. Even, again, 59 possessions, 90 points in the last matchup for VCU. That's unheard of for anyone.
Yeah.
Let's go to the Big Ten next. Very important game in the Big Ten tonight. The winner of this game will be back into the 15 slot for the Big Ten tournament. Why is that important? Because only 15 of the 18 make it to Indianapolis 2 weeks from now. Northwestern, who's currently 5-8 in conference, goes to 6-10 Minnesota right now. And the initial action on this game, Alex, they've taken the 3. It's down to 2.5 now. Minnesota favored at the barn tonight with a total of 131. There are some rogue 3s still out there, but it is mostly 2.5 in the market now.
I did jump in here and grab the 3 with Northwestern. I have been fascinated by the Big Ten and the ACC with 3 teams being left out. You are seeing these teams playing desperate, and they've gotten a lot of wins here between Washington, Penn State, and Northwestern, all fighting, and now Minnesota and even Iowa fighting for their spot to be in the conference tournament. So I like this Northwestern team. I think they're feisty. I think that they will play hard. They've been playing pretty hard for Chris Collins, so I think they'll show up here tonight. This is the first game. No revenge. They both went on their own court last year, but I think Northwestern has the better defense, so I took the points here with the dog.
Yeah, I agree with you, Alex. I think they're the better team. I like the game under much more because it's such a big game for both teams. We've seen Minnesota all year play at a Princeton-style pace. Northwestern doesn't play much faster, and I think both teams are much better defensively than they are on the offensive end. So a low possession game. I wouldn't be shocked if it was played, 58, 59 possessions in this game tonight. So every point is at a premium. It's going to be a really close game down to the wire because Jeff mentioned it. These 2 teams are fighting to stay alive and get into the conference tournament.
Northwestern, by the way, gets Iowa over the weekend. So multiple opportunities against teams they're trying to chase down in order to get into the Big Ten tournament. But you get this one and Iowa, Northwestern's probably going to the Big Ten tournament in some fashion, whatever seed it may end up being. By the way, both of those teams, bottom 40 tempo teams in the country. So
Yep.
Could very easily be a low possession game at the barn tonight. All right, this is a rivalry game in Athens tonight, Florida and Georgia. Florida is projected number 1 seed. They handled what seemed to potentially be a flat spot on Saturday pretty darn well. They covered pretty easily on the road in Baton Rouge against LSU. Georgia is in desperation mode at this point. They played Auburn tough. They did cover, but not good enough to get the win on Saturday. It's 7. Last night, I did like this at 7, but after going through it a little bit more, this is more of a lean, more so than anything on Georgia. Just because when this is all said and done, when you put through all the metrics, Florida's just significantly better. But home court desperation is a rivalry game. Wish I was getting 8, but 7 would be a lean to the Georgia side here in this one, Alex.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I stayed off of this one completely just because, Florida, the Gators have won 6 in a row. Georgia have lost 4 in a row, kind of just like where these 2 teams are right now. And then if you look at against the spread, Florida is 20-7 against the spread this year. I just don't think that the sports books have caught up to this Gators team yet. And it's even taken us a while to adjust them up in the power ratings. But they are a very good team in this really tough SEC conference. So nothing for me in this one.
Yeah, well, I'm a Gator fan because when we went over the prop bets and the futures and teams we should bet, Alex, and I did the research, went over the last 18 national champions. What did they all have in common? They were all great offensive teams. I thought it was going to be all great defensive teams, but it wasn't. They were all really good defensive teams, but great offensively. And that's what the Gators are. They can score. This is another one, it's not as close as a rivalry as like VCU and Richmond, where the fact that, they're in the same city. These 2 are not in the same city. So you're not going to have Gator fans in the building. So there is a strong home court for Georgia. They are two games out. Georgia is right now of a bye in the conference with 4 to go. So they do need to win. I agree with Jeff. There's a more sense of an urgency with the Bulldogs here, and they losing by 30, is a, embarrassment factor. So I made it 9. There's no way I'd ever lay the favorite here in this game. If I had to make a bet, I would go against my number and take the Bulldogs.
148 the total, which is a lower total on these Florida games recently. But again, Georgia style, much different than the Gators with that home court mixed in. All right, let's go to the Big 12. Boy, Baylor's really fallen off. The Bears, I don't want to say they're on the bubble because I don't think that's fair, but they've at least played their way into maybe having to make sure they win one game in Kansas City to make sure the committee doesn't do anything nuts. They're on the road here at Cincinnati. 2.5, Alex. Bearcats favored at home with a total of 138.5 on this one.
You are right. It feels like they have fallen off, but really, I mean, they have losses to Houston, beat West Virginia, then lost to Arizona, and then the Colorado was the bad one that they really should have had in there. But that does make me want to stay away from this one completely. I think the number's just right. I lean to Cincinnati. I agree with the move here with them having the home court because I've got them 1.5, and I believe that's where it opened. Now bettors have taken it to 2.5, so nothing for me, and I've got the total rate at 140, so pass for me in this one.
You know, this is a team that has so much talent, and they just haven't gelled yet. That's the problem, and maybe Drew can get these guys to gel at the right time and peak at the right time. So many different injuries they've had throughout the year. Roach was out for a while. Langston Love was out for a while. Now none, and their backup power, their starting power forward, Ojowana, he's out. So they just haven't been healthy. They haven't had everybody together. And if all these guys were playing together on the same page, they're a top 10 team. They may be a bargain team. We'll see how they do in the conference tournament. And if everybody comes back, and they're healthy, it might be a team I take a look at. Right now, you can't trust them. They are still playing for a bye in the conference tournament. As Jeff said, they're actually maybe playing for their NCAA tournament lives as well.
It'll be interesting to see what they do tonight, and we'll have to keep an eye on it. But looking at their home road splits, I mean, they're just 2-7 straight up. On the road this year,
1-7 ATS,
and 1-7 against the spread. So
Baylor's only road wins have come against Utah and Arizona State in conference play. So two teams they're much better than. That has been it. Cincinnati, again, has been wayward, as we've talked about multiple times on the show during conference play. All right, well, we go to a giant line on this one. Duke is 22.5 on the road. Yeah, that's what you're getting out of Miami these days. 152 is the total behind us. Total's actually got a lot of variety in the market, as low as 151.5, as high as 153. So all over the map on this total. The question is, how much is too much? But with the way Duke has just been smacking around everyone in the ACC, I would be very cautious of taking this sort of number with Miami, even at home.
Kind of like you were saying last week, Duke could kind of name their score here in this one. Miami has really just given up on the year, and I imagine most of the fans are probably at the women's basketball games right now instead of going to the men. So I think there will be plenty of Duke fans here. If anything, I would look at maybe a Miami team total under, because Duke's defense is very good as well, and they've really been locking teams down. So I saw Miami 63.5. I think that's an okay number to go under.
Miami is a great weather city, and they're fair weather fans, and that's why. So there'll be no one at this game tonight. Maybe if they want to see Duke play, and that's why they're going to go to the game, they want to see Cooper Flagg play. They're not going to cheer for their team because they're so embarrassed of the program right now. Jim Larinaga had to step down. The new guy, Bill Courtney, has never done anything as a head coach. He couldn't win at Cornell after they were the best team in the Ivy, and he's not the guy for the job. And you could tell the players haven't bought into anything he's said. So they're just not very good, and it is a game. Duke could name the score. Now, if Coach K was still at Duke, I would lay the points, because I knew the one thing when Coach K was there, they played every game like it was the last game of the year, whether it was against North Carolina or Army. They played their best game. And I'm not sure if you get that out of John Shire's teams right now. They could have a letdown after Hammer in Illinois at Madison Square Garden. But again, they can name the score of this game. If they were told before the game, everybody gets $1 million if you win by 40, they're winning the game easily by 40.
Miami's already basically done. They have to win out and get help to even make the ACC tournament. It's been a nightmare for the Canes. Just 2 short years ago, they were in the Final Four.
Amazing.
Times change quickly in college basketball now here in 2025.
And I hate it that Larinaga had to step down, because he is 75 years old, but he was one of my favorite coaches, because as an underdog, he was a 70% spread cover guy.
Great.
As a double-digit favorite, he was a 25% spread cover guy.
He's perfect.
His teams always played to the level of the competition, and he was one of the best to bet against and bet on in situations.
They can't do much better than that, to say the very least. All right, look, keeping the ACC, Alex and Kenny, Georgia Tech and Pitt. Pitt, we've talked about disappointment this year. Just a team we thought was going to be an NCAA tournament team looked like they were on their way to going in the non-con, and in the ACC, they've just been super, super average. Alex, it's up to 9 now in this game with a total of 140 here with the Panthers favored at home against the Jackets.
So the movement is going the opposite direction as me, but I like Georgia Tech in this one and taking the points. I took 8. You could take 9 here. It's an even better number. Going back to even last year, though, I'm using the home revenge because Georgia Tech did lose at home 72-64. I think they'll be ready in this one. These two are both tied right now at 8th of 18 in the ACC, so I think they'll both be playing hard in this one. You brought it up, Jeff. Pittsburgh's just been too inconsistent for me. They could win this game, but I think Georgia Tech will definitely keep it close.
Yeah, no, they're playing for a bye, basically, Alex, because they are tied for 8th with 3 other teams. And this is a big game, one of the biggest games of the night that both these teams need to win. So Georgia Tech has been without Javion McCollum, transfer from Oklahoma, who was previously at Siena. A really good player. He's been out 3 or 4 games now with a concussion. They need to get him back, but they're kind of used to playing, without him right now, and that is factored into the number. But I agree with you. I like Georgia Tech. I took 8 this morning with them, and I think it's going to be a close game. I think it'll be down to the wire. Pittsburgh was off to such a great start this year under Jeff Capel, but seems like, since conference started, they've struggled and haven't been able to win basketball games. So if they win by 1 or 2, they'll be extremely happy.
This is for Pitt, it just is surprising because, again, it's felt like Capel finally stabilized things and going to have to win the ACC tournament. Now, granted, of course, last year we saw the shock of all shocks in the ACC tournament, and that turned into a Final Four run for NC State when it was all said and done. So could see something crazy again down there in the ACC tournament. Quickly on this game, Iowa State on the road at Oklahoma State. It's a double-digit line here in this one with 10 as the number. 149 is your total for this.
I need power. I need power. My brain's going to go off.
All right, we're plugging Kenny in as we speak. 10 is the number. 149. I'll just say this on this game: Oklahoma State was at one point down by 40 plus against Kansas on multiple occasions. With this total, though. Oklahoma State, we know, wants to run. I wonder if Iowa State tries to actually run in this game a little bit to just see if, all right, we need to be able to play this tempo potentially in the NCAA tournament. I just wonder if this is a sneaky over game because this could be a more tempo game from Iowa State to just try something out in a game where the home teams weren't going to want to run here, Alex.
I was thinking this could be a weird sandwich spot for Iowa State that I am a little concerned about, especially because they did play Houston really tough without 2 of their top guys. And I did see a tweet that they both traveled, Jones and Gilbert. So they are there, but it's still unknown if they are playing tonight against Oklahoma State. But that is interesting about the pace. And Iowa State clearly has picked it up a lot this year compared to last year. So it would be interesting to see if they try and run here with the Cowboys. But yeah, sleepy spot because we've got Arizona up next. And as I mentioned, they did cover against Houston and played pretty tough. I just wonder if they can do that 2 nights in a row without their main guys.
Yeah, they're going to need those guys back. They did cover and they played a great game against Houston, and the money was on Iowa State. Everybody knew, even with 2 really good players out of the lineup, Iowa State was still a deep team. And to Jeff's point, they're going to run. Iowa State already plays up tempo. Their pace looks rather slow because they've got great transition defense, and that's the only thing that really keeps me off this game is how good Iowa State's defense is. It's a really big game for Iowa State. Even with a game on deck that's a tough one, they only have a 1-game lead for a double bye with 4 to go. I mean, they have to win. They don't want to be in a situation where they're playing earlier in this tournament. They know that's a disadvantage to them when they have to play Houston and Texas Tech, that they played an extra game. So they're fighting for the double bye. I think you get a great performance out of them as long as their guys are in the lineup. I might bet Iowa State.
Keep in mind, again, we've mentioned this over the weekend. Jones was out. Of course, it was dealing with an injury and an illness for Gilbert. So keep that in mind. See if their availability here tonight in that one. And they covered pretty easily against Houston. Only lost by 9 in a game that closed north of 13 in that one. All right, let's go to the belt. Troy, Texas State. In this one, we've managed to talk about Texas State. It feels like we talk about Texas State every single time. It's all three of us on the desk here. Troy's a 1.5-point road favorite in San Marcos tonight with a total of 142.5, Alex.
So I did take this one. I laid the 1.5 with Troy. They do have home revenge, and they lost by just 1 point to Texas State. They're the better team. They're tied for second right now in the Sun Belt. And remember, we've been talking about the Sun Belt because now they changed their conference tournament. It is that step ladder. So they're competing each night to try and get the best seeding. So I like Troy in this spot. I think that they will get the win and the cover over Texas State.
Absolutely love Troy, Alex, tonight because of that fact that when you're playing in a conference that uses a stepladder system, every game is so important. You want to be in the semifinals and put yourself in a great spot. They're tied with two other teams for second right now. And there's two teams one game behind them. So they're going to take that revenge factor out on Texas State. And I love these type of games. My best bet is when I've got a team that I make 2 to 3 possessions better, and they have to win by less than a possession. So always the strongest bet I've ever had. I also betting Troy's baseball team tonight. Troy's baseball team is loaded. They hit 8 left-handed hitters that all can hit left-handed pitching as well. That's how good Troy is. Troy could be a long shot to be in the College World Series this year. That's how good they are. You might get them at 75-1 to 100-1 to win it all. They're a very good baseball team.
Keep that in your back pocket.
Parlay Troy's basketball game tonight, and then bet what you win on Troy to win the NCAA baseball tournament.
There we go. The Troy ticket on that one. All right, let's go to Iowa and Illinois. Illinois got embarrassed at Madison Square Garden, and quite frankly, even though it was a 40-plus margin, it was not even that competitive, as crazy as that sounds. Iowa, we know they want to play fast. They need to at least win a game or two to make sure they go to the Big Ten tournament. At this rate. Alex, a high total, though, in this one at 171 with Illinois and Iowa tonight.
I really like this over, even though it is a high total at 171. Both teams will play fast, so we'll definitely have the pace there. Iowa is so much better offensively than they are defensively, and I think Illinois is going to take advantage of their bad defense. They've seen some really good defenses, starting with UCLA, even though they got that win, then Michigan State, Wisconsin, and Duke. So this is going to be a step down, and we should see a much better Illinois team that a lot of people have counted out and said that they are spiraling. But really, I mean, they've had a tough schedule, so this has to be a get-right spot for them, and I think Iowa will definitely help contribute to our over here of 171.
Yes, I made it 184. It's going to be up and down. I wish Iowa had Freeman back. He's been out for like 6-7 games now with a finger injury. It's a revenge factor for Iowa. Illinois spiraling. I don't know how you could bet money on them and lay points in this situation. Iowa needs the game badly. Iowa's 13th in the conference, and they might be on the outside, 16, 17, 18 if they don't win a couple games here at the end of the season. So I think you're going to see a very motivated Hawkeye team. So I took the points with them in this game, and I went over. I bet the over for a little more than I bet the side. I would love, like I said, if Freeman was playing, I may have just bet the side.
This total again feels high, and well, don't worry, we're getting to Bama in a moment, so we can continue on the high total front. But just look at the pacing of what we anticipate this game being here tonight, where Iowa is 40th in tempo in the country. They have played some slower games recently, but the game they wanted to run was a 77 possession game against Maryland. Yeah, they got destroyed, but they were willing to run. Illinois is even faster. We've talked about this. Number of possessions is the most important thing, even more so sometimes than quality of offense and defense. you're going to have this could be a 77 possession game. You get 77 possessions in this game, you're going over 171 if the offenses are at least somewhat competent. They don't even have to be great. They just have to be around 40% from the field. We just have to avoid a calamity shooting game. So I'm with the total on this one. I'm with you, Alex, on the over at 171. A quick hitter here, because this game and the next game we're going to talk about are pretty similar tonight. Wisconsin hosts Washington. Badgers blew that game against Oregon. Kind of stunning with how well they have played. That game even went to overtime and still managed to go under the total as well. But a surprising loss the way it went. Now a rebound spot potentially against a bottom feeder in the league. They have bet the Huskies from 16 to 14, though, in this game, Alex. So I'm curious, is this a potential look at a first half of 8 with Wisconsin? Is this a potential, hey, the whole game, the better team will win out? If we were to play this, how would we look at this game?
Well, the next game I am playing the first half that you said these are very similar. So if I was to play it, that is the way that I would look at it. Wisconsin first half. I actually do have them higher than this 14 as well, but I just don't want to lay that many points, double digits here this late in the regular season with these teams playing so desperate. So first half, I wouldn't mind that one with Wisconsin. I think that would be the way I would play this.
Yeah, I think they come out early and often. They only have a half game lead right now for the double bye. So that coming off that loss against Oregon in overtime is a game that, Greg Gard's going to get their attention again. They're such a good offensive basketball team. This is another one I think they could name the score, but Danny Sprinkle's a really good head coach in his first year for Washington. So, obviously he's had his challenges putting his system in and getting the players to buy in. We'll see if they do. They're 8 right now. Their season's, in peril. They're 18th right now at only the top 15 get in. I'm not sure if they've even got a mathematical chance to get in right now. So they're maybe just playing out the season.
Washington, I think that game against Rutgers that they couldn't hang on, they lose in overtime. I think that was kind of very close to the nail in the coffin of being able to sneak out of that bottom 3. I also kind of like this game over as well. Just a matter of can you get enough scoring out of Washington. Wisconsin, after that, for them, a weaker offensive performance. Wouldn't shock me if they throw 80 on the board here tonight. 80 might even need 85 in order to get that. All right, let's go to South Carolina and Mizzou. We talked about similar spot. Mizzou loses at Arkansas over the weekend. South Carolina gets on the board for the first time in SEC play. They upset Texas on Saturday. They bet South Carolina here full game. Alex, I'm going to play this both ways here. I'm going to lay the 12.5 with Mizzou. And I'm going to lay the 7 in the first half as well. But Alex, you were going through something before the show that has some interesting stuff on Mizzou and how well they performed in first half a game so far this year.
Yes, so I was going through Jeff Fogel's newsletter, which he sends things out daily or every other day, and he has first half power ratings for SEC teams. So going through those, I found it very fascinating. Auburn right now is number 1, and then Missouri is number 2. So they have been a great first half team. And if you just make a number like we do with our power ratings, this number for the first half should be more like 11. So I think Missouri coming off of that loss after a huge upset win over Alabama, right? So that was kind of just a bad spot for them. I think they'll come out hot in this one. Much better offense than South Carolina. So we're going with a -7 first half for me for Missouri.
That's a good bet. I like Missouri in the game for a couple of facts. They lost both games to South Carolina last year. They want revenge from that, and they lost their last game, and they're in a must-win situation. They're playing for the double bye in the SEC, and right now they're tied for 4th. They could end up. They're tied with Tennessee and A&M right now for 4th, and they have a couple teams that are only 1 game behind them. So this is just a must-win game. I think they come out very focused. I like your first half bet a lot, and I'm going through my mind when you're talking about that. I can definitely do offensive. I can do an over/under and first half ratings on these teams very easily and adjust that from game to game. Even second half is nice to have as well. So I'm gonna probably end up putting that into my calculations.
with all the time you have.
Yeah, I was when we went to the NBA game, I forgot to joke. I was going to say, yeah, let's talk about the NBA when I'm covering over 1,000 teams combined when I'm covering women's college basketball, NCAA basketball, and now college baseball. And I'm covering every team in all three leagues. And I'm going to add first half and second half, Jeff, on top of that.
It's a lot of ground to cover. A lot of ground to cover, to say the very least. We're going to be simpatico on this, so we apologize if the first half doesn't get there.
Yeah.
Even though we were perfect last week when we all had the same bet, when we were all on Bucky last week. All right, Bama and Mississippi State. Total, again, Bama game requirement, you got to be in the 170s. There's open 170. Now it's 172.5 here at the South Point. South Point opens their totals, opened their total at 170 also. So there's been a nice peruse to the over. And, we had an under in the game on the closing number on Saturday where it went under by a point. It was only 180. It landed 179. But for me, with Bama games, I'm just going to keep going over in these games because they control the tempo. It doesn't matter who they play. No one has been able to slow down their tempo. And even in the games where they don't shoot well, they're still scoring in the 80s. And even though Mississippi State has the defense to potentially slow them down, they want to play a little bit slower, but not as slow as they've wanted to in the past. I like over. I got 172. I did not do a good enough job. Should have bet that last night on that 170. But we're on Bama over here yet again.
So looking at their schedule, Mississippi State, the last time they did play them, that was the lowest amount of possession. So the final score is 88-84. But with Bama being at home, I would lean more to the over. But I think that 172 is right. So I didn't make that official bet.
I was really surprised to see Bama at home this year is 9-5 to the under. On the road, they're 9-4 to the over. So I've got a little higher away number for my over and under with Bama. I made the total still pretty close to what it is. So I'm not betting it under, but I didn't bet it over. I made it 169.5. And again, if this was at Mississippi State, actually my number would be like 178 on this game between these two. And you do look at Alabama. 90 points per game they're averaging this year. And that's an adjusted figure that I have to who their opponent is and the pace that their opponent plays and all that factored in, adjusted. But their average score is 90 to 80, no matter where they play. It's just, that's what they play every game. And now that, Mississippi State does run, and Mississippi State is better offensively than they are on the defensive end.
And they have that home revenge, too, coming into this.
Been much better offensively than they've been in past year. Josh Hubbard's a very fun watch if you've not seen him. Smaller guy, big-time scorer for Mississippi State. LSU and Tennessee, real quick here. Vols got a really nice win in A&M on Saturday in a game that, especially early, A&M looked like they're in control. Tennessee comes back, they win the game. 10.5 on the road against LSU, 139. I stayed completely away from this. As always with Tennessee, there's a danger of laying this sort of number because they could throw a stink bomb offensive performance at you. But I stayed off of this. I think everything was just about right here, Alex.
I completely agree. And that Tennessee A&M game did end up going over there at the end, which it looked like it was going to be a dead under. But I agree with you. I think that the 10 on the road against LSU is right. And that total rate there, even though it is a lower total that we have today.
Yeah, I'm with you guys with total agreement. Pass on the side. I do lean to the under, and there was a little money over yesterday. Not sure why. And I guess still into today. Under, I think 139. I'm going to go under 139 here. Both teams far better on the defensive end, and Tennessee's transition defense will keep this into a 64-65 pace type of game.
Kenny, I'll give you 139.5 at Circa if you want it. So you can do even better. Here than South Point as well.
There you go.
So still available on that one. TCU and West Virginia, 7 in this game with West Virginia, a total of 128.5. Sorry, it's the West Virginia game. I should know better than say a 130 something. Boy, I see 7. That feels like a lot, but I just don't fully trust TCU even in a lower scoring game here, Alex. Tough on this one. Everything feels a a little bit large, but I'm not going to play this here today, though.
Yeah, I would lean to taking the points, though, especially with that low total. And I even think that total's a little high. Lean to the under as well. West Virginia still is very good defensively and has struggled on the offensive side. And we know both of them want to play at a slow pace. So TCU won the first one. No, we're not giving any home revenge. That final was 125. So lean to the under and the points here.
Yeah, I like it under too, Alex. Both teams that's their strength by far is the defensive side of the ball, and it's a slow down game. West Virginia plays very slow. TCU plays great transition defense. So is West Virginia. They play good transition defense too. So neither team's going to allow fast break points in this game. I would, my guesstimate would be about 60 possessions in this basketball game, and with two teams that are so much better defensively than they are on the offensive end. So, yeah, I'm under there.
Going to Virginia Tech and Louisville, Alex, you're looking at a team total here in this game. Cards 10 on the road in Blacksburg here, 146.5, the actual total, but you're looking at the Cardinal team total in this game.
Reasoning for this is I did make Louisville 11 on the road here against Virginia Tech. Considering that Louisville lost both games, I gave them some revenge. Instead of laying that big number with them being on the road, I also like the total going over. So I'm just going to dial in on Louisville here with their team total and them doing all the scoring here with about the 20th best offense in the country. So I think that they can get their points here. I found 77.5, so I'm going over that team total for Louisville.
Yeah, that's nice. I was very shocked to see that the Louisville Cardinals are 15-1 ATS their last 16 games.
Is that good, Kenny?
I would have loved to have been on that streak. And this Pat Kelsey team, I don't see any let up here. I don't see flat spots because they're playing for the conference championship now. They're one game behind Duke, and they have nobody the rest of the season. I think they can win out, and if Duke loses to North Carolina or one of their final games, Louisville could tie for the conference championship. So I think they come to play again. They lost both times to Virginia Tech last year. Obviously, they had a revenge against everybody in the conference from last year, but you just keep riding that train right now. They're just an ATM machine.
All I'll say is I don't know if he'll win National Coach of the Year, but Pat Kelsey inherited an absolute abject disaster there last year. And they're going to be favored in all four of the remaining games.
Yeah.
18-2 in conference play. I know it's a down league, but that's sick anyway. Slice it.
I don't know if I've ever seen that big of a turnaround.
I mean, last year they won 3 conference games. They were 3-17 in the conference. Granted, Kenny Payne was in his own category, and the category you don't want to be in, but it's still incredible from Kelsey. All right, your alma mater in action here, Alex. UNLV taking on San Jose State here in this game. 3 is the peak of the market. It's 2.5 here at the South Point with 137.5 on the road in San Jose against the Spartans for UNLV.
Just wanted to bring this game up because we did see the last game UNLV did not have Deion Thomas Jr. against Colorado State. They played tough though. Really good second quarter. We're in it going into the second half, but failed to win that one. Lost that one 61-53. I lean to UNLV here in this one because I think the market's telling you there's a chance we'll see him. He didn't practice, though, but, I mean, it's been one-way action on the Rebels here. So, and, I mean, they really need to start winning some games. I think they are out of getting the 5 seed and having a double bye here, but still want to keep the 6 seed here. And San Jose State is one of the weaker teams in the Mountain West. So lean to UNLV here, but it did not make my board officially.
Yeah, Thomas is doubtful tonight, so that's a bad sign for UNLV. And whenever you're missing your best player, I would have loved to have him in the game because I agree with you. They're playing for seeding to just get that bye in the conference. This is a team that knows they're playing at home. If they can get any support, they could make a little bit of a run in the conference tournament because, hey, San Diego State's not the same as they used to be. New Mexico now. We'll get to that game soon.
We'll get to it right now, actually.
All right, let's do it.
San Diego State hosting New Mexico. Every game is a gigantic game for the Aztecs at this point because they are squarely on the NCAA tournament bubble. We talked about it last week with New Mexico. They're probably going regardless as long as they don't melt down the stretch here. but a chance at a Mountain West championship. They got to keep winning because with a loss, they'll be tied with Utah State entering the last 2 weeks of the regular season. Techs are 2.5 at home, Alex, with a total of 144.5 on this one.
Lean to taking the points here with New Mexico, even though they are on the road and we didn't get their last game. They did lose against Boise State. Both of these teams are coming in here off of a loss. But I lean to taking the points. I just think New Mexico is the better team, and I think that they should be in the tournament. I don't know. I mean, they have such a good record. I don't know. They just don't have enough good wins in non-con, and Mountain West is just down. But, yeah, I think they're the better team, and you're getting points here. But I know San Diego State is a tough place to play, so not official play for me. Yeah,
Richard Pitino's done a really good job with the Lobo program. He's brought the fan base back. The pit's now a thing again, and they've performed well on the road as well, I believe. I know that their overall ATS record is not a winner, 12-13 on the road, 4-5 ATS, not great. But San Diego State struggled at home. They're 4-8 ATS this year. I think it's one of those games where I didn't look back, but San Diego State probably had a pretty good winning streak against New Mexico. If you went back 10 years, they're probably 18-2 or 17-3 against the Lobos. It's payback time. New Mexico's the better team. I think they come in focused. Like Jeff said, a loss brings them back into a tie with Utah State. They want to win every game they can right now, and this is one that I think they'll be focused. I like the Lobos plus the points.
I'm staying out of this. Tempo will matter in this game, to say the very least. New Mexico wants to run as fast as anyone in the country. We know what San Diego State's tempo has been for years now under Dutcher in that one.
I'm glad you brought that up because it was pretty impressive. The first game they played 62-48. So New Mexico beat San Diego at their own game there. So we'll see how you're right, how the tempo is in this one. But I thought that was a pretty impressive win for them and pretty telling.
Let's hit one last one in college hoops. Gonzaga and Santa Clara. Santa Clara, of course, stunned Gonzaga at the Kennel earlier this year in a game that was 103-99, so over 200 points in that one. Seen shifts to the Bay Area. 5.5 with Gonzaga on the road favored, 162.5 your total. Gonzaga, of course, gets swept by St. Mary's. St. Mary's goes to the Kennel, beats them a second time. The Ken Pom numbers just don't add up what you see with Gonzaga. Ken Pom has them 11th in the country. You're nowhere near that, at least to me. I'm staying off the side because of the revenge factor here, but I do like this game over again. I expect this to be played at a ridiculously high pace yet again, and two efficient offenses, 162. I thought this should have came closer to 170 personally in this one, Alex.
Very important game for Gonzaga here. Right now they are 12-4, tied with San Francisco. So they need every win they can get. They, of course, want to at least be the 2 seed because just like we were talking with the Sun Belt, we know the WCC is that step ladder conference championship. So I like the Zags in this one. I'm not going to lay it. I am going to watch this game, though, and see if I can jump in and get a better number, which is Gonzaga winning this game. Or if they come out a little flat and I can get points with them, I would love that even more.
This is, when you just said that, I forgot that they are kind of playing that stepladder system now in the conference tournament. It's been a down year. This is not, the Zags are not used to what they're facing right now. They're not used to being second place. They are second. They've got no shot to win the conference. St. Mary's has clinched the conference. They do have the home revenge against Santa Clara, so I figured, hey, they're going to come to play in this game, and I think they get the W. And then I think they could care less about the next game against San Francisco, and I think San Francisco, that's the game I'm looking forward to on Saturday. I think San Francisco beats them and beats them handily.
Oh.
Handily.
Okay.
The Zags have never been in this situation before.
You're taking that nice money line price you're going to get on Saturday then.
I think for San Francisco could be a small favorite.
That would be something we haven't seen much at all during the Mark Few era. But hey, look, if San Francisco knocks them out on Saturday,
if Gonzaga wins tonight, I'm make a 3-4% bet on San Francisco to win that game.
So Gonzaga in danger of falling to the 3 line, which never happens. In this conference tournament. In this format. By the way, real quick in the chat, Doc Holliday in the chat. Thank you for being with us today on Mizzou, Cincy, Santa Clara, and Louisville tonight for Doc in the chat. We're going to take a quick break in a second, but first, Chris and company have put up props for the Maverick and Laker game. If you want Luka Doncic point total, Kenny, 31.5 here tonight, 9.5 on the board, 7.5 on the assists. There are LeBron props as well, 24.5 points on LeBron, 7.5 on the rebounds, and then the team total by first half and full game for both the Mavs and the Lakers. All right, yeah, go ahead, Alex.
With that Gonzaga, if they do win tonight, then them playing San Francisco will be for the 2. Be for the
Assuming
2
San
seed.
Francisco doesn't lose in the middle of the week. Yes. That will be for the 2 seed.
Okay. They've already lost to San Francisco once this year, too, so we got that
No,
right.
they beat them.
Yeah. Yeah, Gonzaga.
Yes.
They beat San Francisco.
So San
by
Francisco
11,
has the revenge. Okay.
Yep, correct.
That makes
San
sense.
Francisco, by the way, had Corvallis on Wednesday, so no gimme for the Dons
No.
in that one. All right, we'll take a quick break. We got some hockey to get to and the whiteboards, of course, here on Sports by the Book.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south-of-the-border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside. Or maybe you're in the mood for seafood. Big Sur Oyster Bar has fresh seafood prepared right before your eyes. Savor freshly shucked oysters, crab legs jambalaya, shrimp and lobster. Beers on tap and a selection of fine wines are perfect to pair with your seafood favorite. Whether lunch or dinner, you'll love this fun atmosphere, located just off the casino floor. Ready to shake things up? Step back in time and treat yourself to one of the oldest restaurant chains in the country. Steak and Shake, famous for original mouth-watering steak burgers and hand-dipped milkshakes in a variety of flavors. For some old-fashioned fun, try Steak and Shake.
Get ready to laugh with Punchlines with Frank Nicotero. Join Frank and his team of featured guests for your daily dose of comedy.
Reno, the Pittsburgh of the West.
Poison.
Yeah.
Poison.
Sports.
F for Falcons, Alex. We were talking Derek Carr for MVP after 2 games. Okay, me. I was.
And the funniest social media posts.
People want to show off their food. Boom. Wiener on a guy's shoulder. It's our Colts. We bleed blue.
It's your one-stop spot for great laughs and a good time. Find us on YouTube at Punchlines FN. And join the chat live weekdays at noon Pacific for the ultimate blend of jokes, sports, and viral fun.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book here on a Tuesday morning. Also reveal who got the trivia question answer right first in a few moments. We'll also have the whiteboards in a few moments. But first, check in with the chat. Attila was not happy with VGK last night. Bad third period. Kings knock out VGK last night. Kings been unbelievable when scoring 3 goals or more this year. Alex, you said they might even have the highest home ice advantage in hockey this year.
Yeah, they have been very, very good. Let me pull up what their home record is. I don't know where that. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yes, I was just comparing them to other ones. I'm sorry. Kings 19-3-2 at home, so
Pretty
very
good.
good. Yeah.
Pretty good.
And I had under 5.5, so that BGK bad defense in the third really hurt me as well.
All right, Alex, 3 hockey plays to look at here as looks here for you today. We'll start in Columbus. The Stars on the road at the Blue Jackets here tonight with a total of 6, minus 185 for Dallas on the road in this one.
I made this total higher, 6.5 under. I think there's some value going over this 6. Worst case, maybe we'll push here. But looking at the Columbus Blue Jackets, they have been an over team at home all year. Their median, 4 goals and 3 goals against. Dallas is playing very good. They're also on a nice over streak, 4 in a row for them coming into this one. So even though we have Jake Ottinger, who is a very good goalie, I think we're going to get goals from both sides, especially with Columbus, who 9th right now in goals for. Their average is 3.25 per game. So I really like this over.
Next one up, we go to the Battle of the Keystone State. Philly hosting Pittsburgh. Flyers, $1.25 favorites in this one with a total of 5.5, Alex.
This one is pretty shocking to me. I think this total is way too low. Of course, I did just make it 6 over 120, so it's not much higher. But these two, looking at their numbers, I mean, the medians, the Penguins have just been struggling. Scoring 2.5 goals per game on the road and allowing 4. And then if you look at the medians for the Flyers, it's 3 and 3. So I really like this going over 5.5. It's been a struggle for both of these teams. Right now, the Penguins 31st in goals against, and the Flyers are 27th. I think, I guess because it's such a rivalry here, maybe that's why it's a little bit lower. But I think we're going to get some goals between these two.
Last one we'll hit here in hockey. Blackhawks on the road at the Hockey Club tonight. Minus 250 on this one with Utah. Plus 210 on the Blackhawks behind us. Now you can search, do some shopping. The best market numbers, plus 223 on the Hawks here in this one, Alex.
Wanted to ask your opinion on this one because I have Utah minus $2. So that would make the Chicago plus $2, right?
Yeah.
So I did see a plus 223 out there. Is that a big enough difference, or we want it more 50 cents because we're now in the $2?
I don't know how high as 50 cents, but maybe 235, 240 in that range.
Okay. So maybe if we keep seeing more movement here on Utah, we can jump in slight pizza money bet here on Chicago. Oh, I guess we do need to add in the losing streak though, but that is coming from before the break as well. But lean to Chicago. Utah's been
a lot of overs early since they've come back.
It's true.
A lot of high scoring games.
Well, that was the interesting thing of what's the impact of this layoff.
Yeah,
and so far it's been the defenses and the goaltending that has taken the dive more so than anything through the first 3 days back in the NHL. All right.
Kind of similar to baseball when that happens.
For the All-Star break?
When baseball's a longer All-Star break, you see high-scoring games because the pitchers aren't used to being off that long. The hitters, it's a nice break for them, and maybe it's the nice break for, the offensive players in the NHL a little bit. So, yeah, we'll see.
Absolutely. All right, we'll take one last break. We'll get the whiteboards all set up. We'll tell you the trivia answer when we get back right here, Sports by the Book, here at the South Point studio. Welcome back in Sports by the Book here at the South Point, right here on Las Vegas Boulevard. Jeff Parles, Alex White, Kenny White, thrilled to be with you as always. We're going to wrap things up here today because Frank Nicotero and Punchlines is going to be taking the stage in less than an hour. Alex will be right back to work right away at the top of the hour at Punchlines FN. Before we get the whiteboards, today's ticker trivia. Can you name the player celebrating their 33rd birthday today? The player won the 2021 World Series MVP, and that was a former Cub, a former Brave, and now a Los Angeles Angel. It is Jorge Soler is the correct answer to that one. And it was JR again. He did it again. He just beat Nick. Barely. So 4 straight for JR. JR undefeated. We'll see if JR can make it a full weekday's work worth tomorrow. See if we can go 5 for 5 to kick off our new Sports by the Book ticker trivia. All right, whiteboard time. We start with Alex here on a Tuesday morning.
A lot of bets today, so I've got a lot of college and some hockey here tonight. Northwestern +3, shop around. It's 2.5 behind us, but you might be able to grab a 3. Georgia Tech +9 against Pittsburgh there. Troy on the road, laying 1.5. Iowa and Illinois over 171. I'm going Mizzou, first half, -7. Louisville team total over 77.5. And then my 2 hockey are 2 overs. The Stars and the Blue Jackets over 6, and the Penguins and the Flyers over 5.5.
I'm pretty similar in a couple bets here, Alex. Georgia Tech, I think, is a very good play. I think it's going to be a close game, a big battle. So taking the 9, I think is solid. Troy is in a great spot, much better team, a lot of motivation, revenge factor, and that's my best bet. And since I've been betting, is always this situation, laying a small number when I think I have the far better team. Iowa +9.5. As you have the game over, I'm going to need Iowa to score a lot of points myself to stay close. And then I got to stay with the ATM machine, Louisville, on a run that they've been on. Why not keep betting them? I think they have a shot at the ACC championship, and I think you get a great effort out of them every night. So lay it with Louisville.
And Troy in college baseball.
And Troy in college baseball.
The Troy two-step. Can't forget that here on a Wednesday. Mizzou first half is my favorite one of today. I'm with you on that, Alex. I just think this is a good smash spot early for the Tigers after that loss, coming back home and playing the worst team in the SEC. That is my favorite one of today. And if you have a stomach that is willing to have some nausea here today, you can take the 15.5 with Richmond. You can do it if you're willing to have some nausea on that one. Hey, we play the numbers, not the teams, even though, boy, that is not a good team against the best of the A-10 with Richmond at home against VCU. All right, that's all we got. Frank Nicotero comes your way at noon. Alex will be there as well. Punchlines FN to see it. We're back right here again, 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, right here on Sports by the Book. Kenny, Alex, thank you. Jerry, Ann, Vince, Ryan, Drew Dog, Sean, thank you all. As always, we'll see you again tomorrow right here, Sports by the Book. As always, live from the South Point right here on Las Vegas Boulevard.